Welcome to the Alignment Blueprint. I'm your host, Callie. I'm a holistic life and business strategist. I also happen to be extremely passionate about holistic healing and growth. With over 13 years of experience, I've worked with clients from all walks of life. I also know living an authentically aligned life in business and in health can be a little overwhelming. I'm here to break it down for you and take you on my journey to authentic alignment. Remember, the materials and content within this podcast are intended as general information only and are not to be considered a substitute for medical advice or treatment. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Alignment Blueprint. I am here with Kate Vazquez. She is a functional medicine and nervous system regulation practitioner. How are you today, Kate?
I am so blessed. So blessed.
I love that answer.
I'm just honored and blessed to be here and just having this conversation with you, Callie. Because at the end of the day, everything's perspective, right? We have a choice in how we feel and how we perceive the day. So we can wake up saying like, oh, this is going to be a terrible day. Well, it's going to be a terrible day. Or we can just be like, you know what, today's going to be a great day. And I must say, I woke up not feeling my best.
Me too.
But you know what? I did what I needed to do to take care of my body, nourish my body, and just focus on what I really want to feel. And eventually the body's going to shift into that. So instead of being a victim to it, I could, be a victim to it and just like, oh, I'm not feeling well, and that's going to affect my day. Or, just double down on the self-care, nourish my body, my mind, and make the shifts and completely change the outcome.
I love that so much. That's exactly what I did this morning. I literally spent 3 hours this morning working on, and I shared it online today, my back end of my business. And I wrote in a story, back end looks like sales pages. It looks like emails. It looks like posting to social media. It looks like this, that, and the other. It also looks like journaling, dancing, getting to the root cause of things. Because when we have a business, if we're not in our best and highest self, it's gonna reflect in our work and things. In my opinion, it's gonna reflect in our work.
Absolutely.
And, so I love that I don't love that you weren't like feeling great this morning, but I love the way you reframed it and shifted it, and that it's so aligned with what I was going through this morning. That's so funny.
Yeah, absolutely. It isn't that wild? Like, because at the end of the day, we're gonna have good moments and bad moments. We're gonna feel our best, and we're gonna have those moments where we're not feeling our best. But like I said, we have that power and that choice. And because I woke up and I was about to go for a walk, and all of a sudden my back started getting really tight and tense. And I was like, ugh, but I went for the walk anyway. I just took it easy instead of pushing myself. I just still went for the walk, took it easy, hoping it would like loosen things up, and it didn't. And then my mind's always like, okay, well, what can I do to help release it? So like TENS unit, put the TENS unit on my back. I went into like meditation and breath work, and also realized like I probably also needed to hydrate my body. So focus on hydrating, electrolytes, and really tuning in, what does my body really need? Because our body is going to give us clues. It's going to let us know if we're feeling off, like tune in instead of like push through. Because if we can tune in, the body will let us know exactly what it needs. And since then, like just started to feel the shift energetically. The tightness started loosening up, and I feel so much better.
Good. That makes my heart happy. I'm so happy to hear that. So I want to have you introduce yourself, because I had an idea of what a functional medicine and nervous system regulation practitioner was. And when I met you, I had an idea of what you were, but you're so much more than that, what my idea was. And I feel like it's just best for you to introduce yourself and really give us the real idea of what you are, because you are just so much, and in like the best way.
Oh, thank you so much, Callie. I really appreciate those beautiful words. And I get stuck on like, what do I call myself, right? Because what I've learned on my journey is that I initially was tied to the labels, because I thought the labels was my identity, was who I was. So to give you a little background, I was a physician assistant. That's how I started off my career. So, you're in college, you pick your degree.
Hmm.
And I knew initially I was going to go into med school, but then I learned about becoming a physician assistant. So I majored in exercise science so I could learn what I needed to learn and set myself up for PA school, got into PA school and just had this vision of just like becoming a PA because I love learning about the body and anatomy and like
Hmm.
everything is just so intricately, created and designed and everything's happening with like our conscious awareness. It's so beautiful and like just learning about the body. I want to learn more because I'm like, God created us and
Hmm.
created every cell with intention, right? And so I just wanted to learn more. And I thought, okay, by being a PA, I'm going to learn about the body and medicine and how to heal and just help people feel better. And so I thought that that's what I was going to do the rest of my life. I thought I was just going to be a PA and boom, that's it. However, about 5, 6 years in, I wasn't happy and fulfilled anymore
Hmm.
as a PA because you get into Western
Yeah,
medicine and you realize you're really not helping people heal. Instead of healthcare, they call it healthcare, but it's really sick care.
that's what I was gonna say.
People are constantly, sick all the time. And what we learn in PA school, med school, whatever, medical model we're in, we just learn like, okay, whatever issue someone has, you can do the test, but here's a prescription for this, here's a prescription for that. And then there come all the side effects, and then more prescriptions to counteract the side effects of, the medications. And so, yeah, I was like in an urgent care setting. And, a lot of people were coming in with all these issues and they're like asking me, why am I not getting better? I'm looking, I'm like, they have a lot of long list of medications, like people in their 20s, like 5, 10 medications. And I'm like, they're too young to be on so many medications.
Yeah.
And I also had my own health issues at the time. I had gut issues, which I wasn't aware, but so many things were impacting my gut. The food that I was eating, also being under stress, because I also not only identified myself as a PA, but a high achiever, perfectionist, all the things, right?
Hmm.
Constantly needing to achieve more and do more. And so I yeah, had uh acne, was on birth control. I had gut issues from stress, from the birth control, from taking Advil, and drinking coffee because I had migraines since I was a little child. So I had all
Okay.
these issues and also was just feeling energetically drained. Like at the end of the day, after working 12-hour shifts, I was exhausted mentally, emotionally, physically. My
Yeah.
body was just aching. I had so much tightness and tension in my neck and shoulders and upper back and getting 6 to 8 migraines a month. And of course, you go to the doctor and they just want to give you more pills.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I recognized it was a time in my life where it was just high stress. I'm in an urgent care. And of course, just like, as a PA, you want to make sure that you cross your T's and dot your I's and document and make sure like you do no harm. And I was constantly thinking about, did I do the right thing? Did I prescribe the right thing?
Hmm.
Because I truly wanted to help people, but it's a crazy world, crazy toxic environment, and I didn't know that at the time. So I'm grateful. I don't know how it happened, but I came across Dr. Mark Hyman on the
Hmm.
internet, and he's the pioneer of functional medicine. If you
Yeah.
haven't heard of him, I highly recommend checking him out. But he was talking about functional medicine, how like everything's integrated and just like focusing on lifestyle and getting to the root cause. And I was like, whoa, I'm like, there's such a thing. They didn't teach us this in PA school.
Yeah.
So I started diving in more and discovered there were different programs. So I went through a program, Institute for Functional Medicine, get my certification. And at the same time as I'm getting my certification, I was also in just like a challenging time in my life personally. So with my husband, we were a year into our marriage and we were on the brink of divorce because I was so stressed out.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to regulate, how to process my emotions, how to adapt to stress. Like I didn't understand the power of the mind at the time. My husband did because he had gone to Tony Robbins. It changed his life. But I had not. So he's like teaching me all
Yeah.
these things and I'm like, I don't know what you're saying. And like he could like if he got triggered, he could let go of the stuff like within an hour and I'm still holding on to it a few days later, sometimes a weeks later, right?
Yeah.
And but I didn't know. You only know what you know, right? And And so, yeah, we were on the brink of a divorce. We had a really difficult conversation, probably after like an argument that we had. And he was just like, I don't know how much longer I can keep doing this. And when he said that, my heart broke into a thousand pieces because I was like, this is my soulmate. I'm about to lose my soulmate. And to me, I'm like, divorce was not an option. So I was willing to do whatever it took because I realized for the longest time, with all the achievements and the seeking and doing, like, I thought things outside of me had to change. Like, I thought my job, or not my
Mm-hmm.
job, but like the people that I work with had to change, the patients had to change. I thought my husband had to change, be more compassionate, right? I thought things
Mm-hmm.
outside of me had to change in order for me to feel happy and, to have fulfillment and to feel peace and love and joy. But I didn't recognize in that moment that no, it was me that needed to change. And so I'm grateful for that conversation. As hard as it was at that time, it actually changed the trajectory of my life. And so instead of divorcing me, he sent me off to Tony Robbins with his
I
sister-in-law
love it.
or with my sister-in-law. And yeah, that's when I learned about the power of the mind for the first time and my limiting beliefs, like I'm not enough, which was driving the anxiety and the overwhelm and the patterns, the behaviors, the overachieving, right? And so I started working on the mindset and I didn't change overnight, but because I had a why. I was willing to do whatever it took to save our marriage. And so I started to make the shifts internally within me. So we later went to another Tony Robbins event, and that's when God put on my heart as I'm getting my certification to start my own practice. And I'm like, wait, God, I'm like, I don't know anything about a business. Like, I'm scared. Like, who
Mm-hmm.
am I? I'm just a PA, right? But I found a PA at the time, shadowed her, and she inspired me. And I thought that, okay, I'm going to go work for her, get some experience, but didn't work out. And looking back, I'm so grateful because, again, God was like, go start your own business. And he said, I will be with you every step of the way. And so I had to take a leap of faith and trust God in that moment. And so I did. So I started my practice about 6 years ago. It was just incredible, like really helping people and myself finally get to the root of a lot of the physical imbalances we were experiencing in our body. And like, for me, I was healed my gut. I came off the birth control, hormones went crazy, and I wrote a book all about that called Estrogen is a Bitch. And learn how to just like support my hormones naturally and lowered cortisol. I had high cortisol levels from all the stress, helped a
Mm-hmm.
lot of clients who had issues for years and years and years and were on all these medications and doctors couldn't give them answers. They finally had answers, helped them to heal. But then I noticed like, there were some patterns. Like for me, even though the migraines got better, they didn't fully resolve. And with my clients too, like they would get better, something stressful would happen in their life and the stuff would come back. So
Mm-hmm.
I realized like, okay, there's something else going on that I need to look into, that I need to address. And so I started again seeking answers outside me, even did plant medicine, did different things. But finally, I still didn't have the answers. And I remember just like going into prayer one day and asking God, like, why do I have migraines still? I don't understand. Like, I'm doing all the right things. I'm taking the supplements, I'm getting sleep, I'm exercising, eating the right food, taking the nutrients, like I'm doing all the right things. And God was like, well, one, stop resisting them. He's like, you're resisting having the migraines. And I realized, oh, well, when we resist things, it creates a lot of tension in our body.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of resisting, like lean into it and like get curious. I really believe in the power of our words and the questions we ask. Cause I was saying, why me? Why is this happening? And he's like, no, like, what can you learn from this? They're here to teach you something.
Yeah.
And so once I started like leaning into it and tuning in, I recognized, oh, there was a mental, emotional, spiritual component to the migraines. That's why they didn't get better because there was so
Mm-hmm.
much I was still holding on to. I realized I was still living in survival. My body was still tight and tense. There were still, even though I was aware of the limiting beliefs, there were patterns and conditioning that I was automatically living in that I wasn't aware of. And so I started to unpack that and started to change that and shift out of that and tune in. I realized like the tightness I was feeling, especially my left trap, held a lot of emotions of like shame, guilt, and fear, and just slowly started to release them one by one. And they're deep rooted. They're deep rooted from our past experiences because we didn't feel safe. We were afraid. And if we can allow ourselves to just surrender and recognize like, okay, whatever was happening then, it's not happening now, and also recognize like the patterns and behaviors, like they're coming from these beliefs. I'm not enough. I'm not worthy. I'm not loved. And recognize, no, we are worthy. We are loved. We are enough. It's just we're linking that to things outside of us when in reality, that's not who we are. So yeah, long answer to like, who am I? But that's literally been my journey. So yeah, it's like, it's so hard to like put a, I didn't, put a label, of like, who am I really? Because there's so much, but my goal is to help ambitious women like myself. I've always just been an ambitious woman, but, get to the root of the things physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually that's impacting, our energy, keeping us, from showing up, like you're saying, showing up as our best self in every area of our life, whether it's, with our families, in our marriage, in our business, or in our work that we do. It's like, things are impacting us at such a deeper level that we're not even aware of. And if we can get to the root of that and release that and support the mind, body, and spirit, we literally radiate from the inside out. So that is my brand, Radiant by Design, just
Yeah.
reconnecting the mind, body, and spirit.
I love that. And I wrote down, if you see me looking down, it's because I'm
Yeah.
taking notes as we go. So you look at healing the body as a whole, like
Yes,
fully. It's not
fully.
just looking at the symptoms, or yeah, it's not just looking at the symptoms, it's looking at everything.
Everything.
It's
Yeah.
not sick care, it's actual health care.
Yes.
Um, I love that so much, and I have so much that I want to say back to it. I went to a Unleash the Power Within, and I think I heard that that's the first one you went to,
Yes.
right?
Yes. It was UPW.
Yeah. I went online. I didn't get to go in person because he wasn't doing it in person yet.
Mm.
But I did it online, and that's where my sober journey started. I still
Oh,
have the board in my room. It's broken in half. And
yes.
I wrote something about my sobriety and how I'm going to be sober. And I didn't change overnight. It took
Of
me almost a year to be, not even 9 months, I'd say, to become fully sober. But I don't I attribute that to that moment because
Yes.
I wrote, I have control of my life, and I have that little thing,
Mm.
that you wave. I don't know if you had it when you went, but the little wave thing that you can write on it. I'm in control of my life. And I stopped. And another thing I actually wanted to ask, but I wanted to say too, I was playing the victim
Yeah. Same.
constantly. That's
Yeah.
what I was going to ask you. Did you find yourself in victim mentality for a long time?
Oh,
Because I did.
yeah.
And it took someone calling me out and saying to me, when are you going to stop playing the victim, Callie? You're the
Right.
victim in your own story, and it's just hurting you. And that
Yes.
I did shift overnight. That literally was like a light switch went off, and I was like, I'm done playing victim. I'm not doing this anymore. I am the hero in my story, not the victim.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I totally was playing the victim. And I sometimes can find myself starting to fall into that because at the end of the day, we're human. Yeah, it's the beliefs, it's the patterns, it's the conditioning. It's, these patterns are so hardwired in our brain. I mean, there's so many people talking about the neuroscience behind like, why we do the things that we do because we have these automatic programs and responses, but we're not aware until we become aware. They're all in just hiding in our subconscious mind. And so it's so important that we identify what they are, because if we're not, yeah, we find ourselves in victimhood. And so the only way out of victimhood is awareness. Start to build that awareness, like, okay, and recognize not just awareness, but taking a pause to realize, like, in that moment, that's what I was going back full circle at the beginning, is recognizing, okay, I have a choice in this moment. I can continue the old beliefs, I can continue the old patterns, the old way of thinking, the old way of feeling, the old way of doing things, or have a choice to do something differently in this moment, to think differently, to feel differently, to say something differently, to do something differently. And so when we can recognize, or allow ourselves to take a pause, and it's initially it's hard to do because in our society and our culture, we're just so programmed to just go, go, go. And then that was literally my life. I was just like, I woke up, constantly go, 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 get ready for work, do this, do that. And even when I got home, it's just like go, 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 get everything done as much as I can before the end of the day. And then I can finally go to bed, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this whole hustle culture that we created is not
Absolutely.
healthy, and it's affecting our bodies, our nervous system, and yeah, and it's just ingraining these beliefs that we, in order to feel like we're enough, to feel like we're worthy, we have to do more and achieve more. And that's not necessarily the case, because yeah, you can achieve more and do more, but is it really like fulfilling you? And that's what I
Yeah.
recognize, constantly chasing after things outside of me was not giving me the peace and the happiness and the fulfillment that I really was truly seeking, because I was seeking those things to fill that void, when in reality I'm like, no, I already have that within me. And
Yeah.
so yeah, so going back to your question, I totally definitely was in a place of victimhood, but it's like when you're there, you don't recognize what that even means and what that looks like until you start to build that awareness and start to get a taste of what life can be outside of that, and recognize that, yeah, everything changes when you realize you are the creator of your life. Well, I like to say we're co-creating our life with God, because God is the ultimate
Yes.
creator.
Yes. I love that
That's what
so
we have
much.
to be careful of, because yeah, there's a lot out there where it's like, I am the creator and it's all me. Yeah, yes, to agree. The only things we have control over, because yeah, God ultimately is the creator, is in control of everything, but he also gave us free will. And you know, and the power and the choice. And so the only things we really truly have control over is our thoughts, our feelings, what we say and what we do. That's it. And that was the biggest awareness to help me shift out of that victimhood, is to recognize what's in my control and what's not in my control. And what's not in my control, release it and surrender it to God.
Yeah.
Because yeah, only he can control everything outside of me, and just focus on everything within me.
I love that so much. Um, Going back a little bit to what you just said, being aware of your thoughts and kind of taking control and taking action. You work with that clients on that.
Yes.
How would you say, you don't have to give me like the nitty-gritty and the details of it, but how do you how do you work with them on that? Is it asking prompting questions? Is it what do you do to get people to be more aware of the way that they're treating themselves, their body, mind, spirit, soul, and kind of shift them out of that? Because I think a lot of people play victim mentality.
Yes.
It's very natural. And then also, how do you get your clients to just slow down? Because I posted something this
Mhm.
morning about it, where I was driving yesterday and the person in front of me was going really slow, and back to choices. They were going so slow, and I had a choice in that moment to either get really frustrated and be like, move over, I gotta go, or to get uncomfortable and pause and be in that uncomfortable state of just taking a moment and knowing that I am only in control of, like what you said, my thoughts, things like that. And I can't control anything else. So maybe I should just pause right now and be in the uncomfortable situation, and also curiously ask myself why I'm uncomfortable slowing down. So I'm just curious how you kind of help clients come to that like awakening. Have you heard? Authentic Alignment, the Business Accelerator, is open for enrollment. In this small, tight knit container of like minded female entrepreneurs, you will gain the foundation and growth to start or scale your woman owned business to one of wild abundance. With weekly calls, our specialized healing component, individualized support, and lifetime access, we have co created a container like no other. Feeling the call? We are here and we are waiting for you. Need more one-on-one support? Rise Up, my 6-month life and business mentorship, is accepting applications. This is a container where impact meets income. Have questions? Head to my website, callitony.com/riseup.
Yeah, that is such a great question. So, yeah, because I realize when working with clients, there's just not enough time. Because my goal is to like work with clients in a 3-month period and make a lot of shifts happen. But it's like, I also have to protect my energy and just like, really restore that too. Because I give so much to clients. So I have, one-on-one calls, and then I have a Voxer support to work with clients in between. But to support my energy, I realized, it's probably best because I also, it's to say the same thing over and over again, it's a lot. So I created a podcast course called Already Enough, which dives into the mind and the body connection and nervous system, like recognizing how to recognize or how to regulate the nervous system, how to tune into our emotions, what do our emotions mean, and things like that. So it walks them through how to identify, to start to build that awareness of the thoughts, to start recognizing the patterns and the conditioning and learning how to tune into their body. And I think it's key because at the end of the day, it's a step-by-step process. And that's something that I realized when I first started with functional medicine. I would, I would see them once like every 3 months. So I would like order a bunch of blood tests at the same time, and I would just give them a plan to like support your gut hormones and everything at the same time. And they would get overwhelmed. And I realized, okay, we need to like cut back and just make little tweaks and changes, as we go. And that's really what tuning into our mindset is like start to, start building that awareness little by little, and not making big changes, because at the end of the day, the reason why we have these automatic patterns and conditioning is to protect us and keep us safe. That's the subconscious primary goal. So if we can make it really, really simple and easy, then the nervous system and subconscious mind feel safe enough to like go there and explore and allow ourselves to get curious, allow ourselves to process these things. So yeah, so I love the podcast course. So that way they can, because my goal is not to tell you. And I think that's the biggest distinction too, because there can be a lot of people that will tell you things, but I want my clients to figure out for themselves what their thoughts are. Because when you can build that awareness, and that's the goal, because I'm like, I can tell you, but you're not going to learn anything. And after working together, you're still going to just continue the same thoughts and patterns and things like that. But I want to teach them how to tune in themselves and share with me, because yeah, my thoughts are going to be different from your thoughts. There's some similarities, but the way of thinking and the patterns and things like that. So I want them to build the practice of one, becoming aware and tuning in. And so by doing that, they listen to the course and then they share with me, each little step, so that we're building the foundation. That's really what it is. It's like we're starting to build that foundation of taking what's in the subconscious and bringing it to conscious awareness, so that way they can start to make those shifts.
Yeah, I love that. I personally have listened to it. Not all of it, but a lot of the beginning. I don't know how many episodes are there, or there's a lot.
There's a lot, and
And
they're
I've listened
short.
to at least 6 or more.
Yeah.
I don't even know because it just keeps playing. It's very good. And it's a great way to start. I always say small, attainable steps over time, or attainable steps over time leads to large, massive shifts.
Yes.
But I love that you do that because it doesn't make it overwhelming. It's not like I have to change everything, because I always have this all in or all out mentality.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's being a projector or something, or just
No.
being a human being in this society. Yeah. But I have the all in or all out mentality. So I'm like, go, 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 go. I gotta do everything at all at the same time. And then I crash and burn because I get burned out so easily. So
Exactly.
making the small, subtle shifts over time helps me sustain that energy and that want, not need and have to do it. It makes me want to do it more. And I see the changes already happening over, like, I've been working on my health and fitness and all that over the last like 3 weeks or so. And it's huge shifts already. And I haven't made huge changes, just small changes, but I feel physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually better than I have felt in a long time. And I thought that I was just working on my physical health. And I'm really not just working on my physical health. I needed more work on other things too. So,
Yes, yes, because one of the things you're sharing with me, it's like, yes, you have these physical things going on in your body, but I'm like, let's tune into the thoughts and the beliefs around, because it's like, at the end of the day, we all know what we need to do. We all know we need to eat healthy foods. We all know we need to exercise. But if we're not aware of the thoughts and the beliefs we have around eating healthier, exercising, um, that's going to be the key in getting the results that we want. And that's something that I
mhm,
noticed. And so when I started bringing this to my clients and helping them become aware of the thoughts and the patterns and the beliefs, then they started recognizing like, oh, because I had this thought and the belief, it was creating this outcome and this result. And it didn't feel good in my body because
yeah,
our thoughts, our beliefs are so powerful. Like our thoughts literally carry an energetic frequency. So once we think something, it's energy, which then sends a signal to our cells, which then releases chemicals and hormones and peptides, and then starts communicating to other cells and organs in our body. And our body responds based off the chemicals that are released. So if you have a thought like, oh, I have to do this, tune in right now. How does I have to feel in your body? It
yeah.
doesn't feel very good. It feels heavy. So I always like to ask my clients, like, does this make you feel heavy or weak? Strong or wait, strong or heavy? Wait, no. Back up. Strong or weak, heavy or light, energized or tired. And that's
Okay.
when you know, because when you tune in based off what you're saying, then if you feel, yeah, heavy, weak, and tired, yeah, the thought is sending that energy out.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so hard. So, like, thinking about, food, like, I've heard clients say, like, oh, I have to have this restrictive diet or I'm eating a restrictive diet. I'm like, well, how does that make you feel? I'm like, if I say I'm eating a restrictive diet, that doesn't feel good in my body either.
Mm-mm.
And it's going to create, going back to what I was saying, the resistance. And it's going to be hard to make those changes. Instead, can we shift that thought to like, I choose to eat these foods because I'm nourishing my body and it's giving me energy? Ooh, how does that feel?
What did you say to me this morning? I commit to, or I'm committed to.
Or I'm committed to.
I
Yeah,
am
I
committed
choose
to. I
to. I'm
love
committed
that.
to. Yeah, so how does that feel in your body when you make that I have to I'm committed to? How does that feel in your body?
Feels like I want to do it, not that I have to do it. And it feels like I've made a commitment to myself, which then in turn makes me feel really good and proud of myself. Instead of I
Exactly.
have to, which is resistance, it makes me feel proud of the fact that I'm committing to myself and my best and highest good.
Exactly. It's that simple,
Love it.
So it's like if we're not getting specific results, and this is not just for help, but any area of our life, because I'm sure you probably work with your clients too, and from a business aspect, the mindset behind things that we do in business. And that's something I had to tune into because I'm like really good with like my thoughts around my health, but I'm like with the business, I know I need help with that.
Yeah.
So just become more aware. And I realize I'm like, oh, hello, like the same applies in business too. The thoughts that I have around my health, like how can I apply that to the business? Same thing.
Hmm.
Because yeah, it's all energy, it's all frequency. And yeah, the thoughts that we have is going to create a specific feeling in our body, which is then going to result in a specific action and
Yeah.
outcome. And so if we
Hmm.
are not happy with that outcome that we have in our life in business, health, marriage, whatever it is, it's like, okay, let's start to reverse that. How's that making us feel? And what are the thoughts and the beliefs associated with that? And then it starts with shifting that thought, shifting that belief, which then shifts the feeling, which then creates a completely different outcome. So yeah, I've created so I have my own podcast, Radiant and Resilient. I actually speak to this one episode. It's called the power of setting intentions or
Hmm.
something about setting intentions. And that's what I had, have every client do is like, okay, what is the intention? What is the outcome you want? Because again, it's like if we focus on where we want to go, what we want to achieve, we're more likely to align, our feelings and our actions in alignment with that.
Uh,
So it's like I've had clients come to me, and then this was before I brought in the mindset piece. It's like, their outcome was like, I want to lose weight. Well, tune in. How does I want to lose weight feel in your body? It feels very heavy. It feels hard. It's going to create that resistance because you feel like, oh, I got to do these things in order to lose the weight, and it doesn't feel good. Versus like, I just want to feel healthy. I want to feel
mhm.
energized. Well, now when you feel healthy and energized, the action steps for losing weight and feeling healthy and energized are going to be completely different. And yeah, and there's a different energy and frequency. You're, like you said, you're excited to actually take the action to do what feels good to make that happen. And that just makes a world of a difference. And that's the biggest thing that I saw, because yeah, I can give you all the supplements in the world, to support gut, hormones, adrenals, whatever, physical, because I do testing to see, okay, where imbalances physically in the body, because yeah, I do want to help support you physically while we also work on the mental, emotional, and we'll recommend some supplements to help support physically. But like you said, it's like it's only been a few weeks, and just the mindset shifts alone, what I notice they're so powerful that like you're not even on a lot of stuff. We haven't even done tests, and it's like you're already feeling the shift
Hmm.
already. And that was my goal, because our mind is that powerful. Like Joe Dispenza is like one of
Yes.
the people I've dove into. I went to his event, read his books, and I love how he just like brings the science of like the power of the mind and how it impacts like our DNA and the shifts that happen. And people are spontaneously healing from cancer. You know, people that were born couldn't walk are walking, and because the mind is that powerful and it has the power to heal the body. So that's why it's like, yeah, we can focus on the physical. I can tell you what to eat, based off your testing, what supplements to take. But at the end of the day, it's like, we're not meant to just like, we don't have a supplement deficiency. Yes, we might be deficient specific nutrients because one, our food doesn't have enough nutrients, but
Hmm.
you know, that's not the goal. That's not the focus. Like we have the power to heal our body, and it starts with our thoughts. And once we start to shift that thought, it shifts the energy, which either creates destruction in our body or creates healing. And that's really the ultimate goal.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I was gonna say that a lot, that I love that, but I truly everything that you um work on aligns with my beliefs
Yeah,
so in such parallel. Like I just believe it so hard that you can't, if you can work on your physical body, but just alone, it's not going to have the same effect in any way, shape, or form as it is if you look at the body as a whole.
exactly.
Because I've done that work where I just did the
Right.
physical work and then nutrition and all that. But until I got into my spiritual work, my mindset work, my energetic work, that's when I became I co-created a life that I didn't need to have a break from. And that's like my mission with my business, is for female entrepreneurs to come from a place of want and not need, and to have a business that is life-giving and easeful and joyful. And this component is so important to that as well, which is a huge reason why I wanted to talk to you today, because it's in
Yeah.
such alignment with having a beautiful life and business.
Yes. I completely agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if it's wild because, as I started my functional medicine practice, I hadn't fully healed physically.
Hmm.
But it's been a beautiful journey just jumping into functional medicine and recognizing the mental emotional component, because I realized like how I feel now. I feel amazing. I feel alive. I feel radiant. And it would be so hard looking back, before I really started the journey, had I, continued feeling the way I was feeling as a PA in the urgent care, like it
Hmm.
would be so hard to show up. It would be so hard to show up and create and to connect with clients and guide them when you don't feel your best self. It's so hard to do that. And I truly believe that, yeah, when it comes to, our business, we have to like really make sure our health is in the best place, because it does impact our energy, and not just and when it comes to health, yeah, it's not just the body, it's the mind, the emotions, the spirit,
Absolutely.
everything. Because it's like if one of those areas are off, it impacts our, because everything's energy. So it's complex, it's multifactorial. There's a lot of layers when it comes to that, but yeah, I always say when we feel our best physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, like we literally radiate out, and people are going to feel that, especially when, you have a business and it's something that you're passionate about, people are going to become magnetic,
Mhm.
and they're going to come to you a lot easier than if we're not feeling our best, we're just forcing and grinding and, and then we're just like, yeah, chasing after and doing more. And it's like, and we get to the end and we achieve these goals. And it's like, okay, well, it still doesn't feel like enough, right? I'm still not feeling the peace that I thought I was going to feel. I'm still not going to feel the happiness, the fulfillment, because that's where I
Freedom.
was. Exactly.
Yeah.
The freedom, because that's where I've been. And I
Yeah.
realize, no, what's really more important is cultivating that happiness, that peace, that love, everything that we're seeking within us. Because if we can be that now, it doesn't matter, and everything's more, operates from a place of like flow and ease and abundance when we're in
Yes.
that place.
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
100% yes. I'm curious with your experience with clients over the last, you said 6 years, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Is there a common theme in the breaking point of when they come to you? Or is
Ooh,
it kind of vary?
that's a great question. Yeah, I mean, most people come to me when it's just like, they've tried so many different things. They've
Mhm.
gone to Western medicine doctors, they've tried supplements, they've tried dietary changes, they've tried different exercises, and whatever they're feeling physically, they're not getting better, they're not getting the answers. And, I asked them like ultimately, what do you want? And most of them say like, I just want to feel like myself again, or I want to feel
Mhm.
like my best self. Because sometimes I've had clients, they don't even know what their best self feels like. Others have felt their best, then things happened and created all the, yeah, physical issues in their body. And they just want to be reconnected back to that again. And so the breaking point is just like, just trying all these things, all these, protocols and supplements and modalities and still not getting better, still not
Yeah.
getting better. And I get that because I've been there before, especially like even though I did a lot of healing with the functional medicine, but still having the migraines. And I'm just like, okay, like, why do I still have them? Because I'm
Mhm.
like, if you've never had a migraine, it's not fun. It's debilitating and it
Absolutely.
drains your energy. It's so hard to focus. And it's like we have big goals and dreams and we want to live this life, but when you have a migraine, it takes you out and it can take you out even after it's gone for like a day or two, because now you're just restoring your energy. So
Mhm.
I get it's like, we want to feel our best every day, but you know, again, like kind of going back to the beginning, it's like we're gonna have our moments where um you know, even though like I don't believe we're ever going to feel 100% every day because we're human. We're human. We're exposed to a lot and there's a lot of, things that are happening in our life. We have the beliefs, the patterns, the conditioning. But we can get to a point where we feel our best, and even if something does affect our energy, we have the tools to equip us to be able to shift out of
Mhm.
that quickly and not stay in there. Because that was that, when my energy dipped because, like I ate something like gluten, for example, that impacted my energy, or I got caught in like a pattern. Like one of the patterns is just like thinking about lack, which is rooted in fear and how that
Mhm.
affected me physically. And I was like stuck in that for like weeks and months sometimes. And the key was just like learning the tools that I needed so I wasn't there as long.
Yeah.
Because once I was in that pattern, there was the migraines, there was the gut issues, there was fatigue, the trouble sleeping, like it impacted me physically. And so when we have the tools, it's like, yeah, we're gonna go there. We're gonna have our little energy funks, our moments,
Mhm.
But when we have the tools, we can shift out of it. So we're not staying there. And we can get back to feeling ourselves because we're meant to experience life on, different frequencies. That's why we
Mhm.
have the emotions. We are here to experience the duality. We wouldn't know what love is without, the opposite without fear. We wouldn't know what happiness is without the sadness. So we're here to experience the range of duality, but instead of resisting it, can we lean into it and get curious when we like fall into that, I like to call it that energy funk. It's like, okay, well, why am I feeling this way? Where's it coming from? What is it here to teach me?
Yeah.
And once we can like shift out of that and recognize, oh, it was because of this thought. And if I just shift this thought, because by shifting the thought, shifting my perspective, it's like, boom, it shifts the energy. And it's like, ooh, now we're back. Now we're back
Mhm.
feeling our best self. But yeah, and that is the ultimate goal, right? Is just to feel our best. So, because we all have a beautiful purpose here in this life, and we can't fulfill that purpose if we're not feeling our best.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is perfect and leads me into my next question. Um, what is your version of success in
Mm.
business and also in your health? I'm
Yeah.
interested to know. And when I say health, you know what I mean. I
Yes.
mean the
Oh,
full thing.
yeah. Oh, yeah. That is such a great question because I used to have this definition of success as like make X amount of money,
Mm-hmm.
and check off the things like get married, have kids, things like that. But
Me too.
at the end of the day, it's like, for me, I'll start with health. For me, success is, having my energy. My energy is everything.
Mm-hmm.
And when I am nourishing my mind and my body, like I am going to feel my best. If I'm, focusing on getting good quality sleep, I'm going to feel my best. So success for me is just like, making sure that I'm restoring my energy every day. And it starts with little things, mindset and, mind, body, and spirit, spending time with God, focusing on whole foods that nourish my body. Cause I now know like what takes away my energy, what gives me energy, but also, tuning in and checking into the thoughts. And I'm not perfect. I sometimes get caught up in my own,
We all do.
and yeah, on my beliefs patterns, but thankfully, like I said, I now have the awareness. I now have the tools to shift me out of that, and which shifts the energy. And now
Mm-hmm.
that I know that, I'm like, whew, okay, I feel so much better again. Because again, like I said, energy is everything. And with business, yeah, that was a journey on its own of just like defining success. Because when I first got into business, yeah, my goal was to like grow very quickly and have X amount of clients and X amount of followers. And I realized like, yeah, chasing after that success was not going to give me the fulfillment and the peace and the happiness that I really wanted. And so for me in business is like, am I in alignment with my purpose? Am I, serving from a place of love? And,
Yes.
who am I here to impact? Because that's success for me. I read something on Instagram the other day. It's like, to be an influencer, you have to impact like hundreds and thousands of people. But to be an impactor, you only have to impact one. And I realized, yeah, in business, if I was focused on, yeah, trying to be the influencer, it created a lot of stress in my body. And it just like, it
Mm.
felt hard. And yeah, it created a lot of resistance. But when I shifted my focus to be like, like when I like write a post or create a podcast episode or, even just working with my client, like how can I impact this one person?
Yeah.
It's that's all that matters. And it makes it that much more worth it because that's what we're here to do. We all have a specific purpose in this life, and as long as we're in alignment with who we are and who God created us to be and fulfilling, his will, not ours, and just serving from a place of love, that is success. That is what success is to me.
It is so perfect for the whole purpose of this podcast. Honestly, like it being called the alignment blueprint and you saying what you just said literally is what I want people to get when they hear this. And what living in alignment is. And you define that for yourself and you define your success in your life, in your business, in your health. So that was beautiful. Um, so looking at your clients and whoever's listening, who would you say who is your aligned client? So I always say there's an ideal client and there's an aligned client. Your ideal client is the woman that's 25 to 45 and starting a business and what, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And then there's an aligned client, the one that makes you feel really good in your body and the one that you make feel really good in their body, and the client that you get off a call with and or on a Voxer chat and you're like, God, I love them. I'm so grateful. So if for people who are listening, who is your aligned client?
Yeah, that is such a great question. I love that distinction too, because in business we're like taught, how to define our ideal client, and that
Yeah.
just never felt. I'm like, I don't know who my ideal client is.
Exactly.
Because to me, it's like trying to put them into a box. And what I learned is like, when we put something into a box, it feels very restrictive. And
100%.
so I love that question because it's like, yeah, when, who is my aligned client? Well, one, I just instantly feel this energetic connection. And when I'm on a call, like I'm constantly feeling into their energy. And if we have to both be aligned to want to work with each other first and
Mhm.
foremost, because if I just intuitively sense like maybe they're not ready, or maybe there is someone else out there. I've sent some people on a connection call to refer them to someone else, because I'm like, you know what, I understand this is what you're going through, and I just don't feel like I'm the right person to guide you on that journey, but I
Yeah.
feel like there's someone else who can help you. Here's their name, here's a contact, reach out to them. Um, but also like I want them to also feel aligned to work with me too, because I know I'm not here for everyone. I have a very calm, grounding energy, and people, there are some people that want that. Some people need more of just like an intense, dominant energy.
Right.
I'm not gonna, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna give you. I'm very, very gentle, very loving, and so I know not everybody's going to align energetically with me, and that is okay. So yeah, one, just tuning into like, yeah, is there an energetic connection? I'm going to feel that. And also two, like, are they going to be open to
Hmm.
diving in deep? Because I love diving in deep with my clients. And if you're not open to diving in deep, you know, I'm going to feel the resistance, and it's going to be so hard for me to guide you on that journey, because I'm like, I see so much and I want to help you, and I'm like here to serve you and love on you. But if I feel that resistance, it's hard for me, because I'm like, I want to dive deep, I want to help you, but
Yeah.
if you're not ready, that's okay, because that's where sometimes the resistance comes from. It's like just that fear
Yep.
of the unknown, fear of going into the depths. And not everyone's ready for that, because everyone is on their own journey, and that's okay. So alignment, yeah, comes from that energetic connection that we feel on the call, but also like looking for someone who's willing to be open to receive guidance, to take action, and not just like the all or nothing mentality, like, okay, I'm gonna go. No, like, but be open to making shifts, and just making their life a little bit better, making their mindset a little bit better, because they know ultimately like they're going to receive the healing that they so desire. And
Mhm.
so that's really what the alignment looks like for me. And a client is just someone who's open to diving deep, and willing to just take action, and commit to the work, because it's not just making the lifestyle changes, it's doing the inner work, which isn't easy. But I'm
No.
here to try to like, make it easy and a gentle process. So it feels good. It feels good, and the healing can happen.
Yeah. I always say in business, I want to make your business easeful, not easy, because it's still going to be hard work.
Right.
Easeful. So
Exactly.
again, you want to do it. You don't have to do it, or you need
Exactly.
to do it. Comes from a place of want and love
Yes.
instead of
Yes.
scarcity and fear.
Exactly.
Um, So that sounds like you, what she just described, I'm going to share in the show notes, her link to her website and to book with her for what do you call them? Discovery calls?
A connection call.
A connection call.
That
I'm so sorry.
connection, feeling that energetic
Yeah, I
connection.
love it. Perfect. A connection call. And then I'm also going to link her Instagram in the show notes too. So if you're interested, please head to the show notes and click those links, and definitely go follow her on Instagram. She has a lot of good quality content that I love following. And I know you will too. So my last question, my last big question, would be, and we actually went to Next Level You live, and I heard it there, and I've said it on the last couple podcasts, but I had to use it. I had to use it. I don't know who said it. I can't give them credit like by their name, but I love whoever made this question. I think it was a young girl. But so if all the versions of you, say 6-year-old you, 16-year-old you, 26-year-old you, or whatever ages you can think of, were all sitting at a table with each other, what would they say to one another?
Oh, yeah. I remember Jenna sharing that question with us too.
Mhm.
And I was like, wow, that's such a powerful question because yeah, I love to reflect back on the previous versions of myself because it's been such an incredible journey and I don't even recognize the person I used to be, right? Because I've
Yeah.
just grown and evolved and shifted and changed. But yeah, if we were sitting at a table, goodness, I'm like there would be so much that I would want to say, but ultimately, at next level you, what really came through was just surrender and trust, because for a long, long time before my journey really started, before that pivotal moment with my husband,
Mhm.
I was controlling my life and I didn't know why I was controlling. And looking back, I could see the younger version, the 6-year-old version of myself where, all I wanted was to receive love, and acceptance from my parents. Like, whatever I did, whatever I created, I just wanted that love from them. But I felt like no matter what I did, it just wasn't good enough. It's like, that's great, but you can do more, you know?
Mhm.
And so just like it cultivated these patterns and beliefs of like, okay, I gotta achieve more and do more just so I could feel like I'm good enough to feel like I'm worthy. And I felt like there was just so many expectations that were placed on me. But I just which created this sense, this need to just control every area of my life so I could feel like I'm safe. But you know, I I always I grew up Catholic and I believed in God, but I never really had like a relationship with God.
Mhm.
And it wasn't until I started to really like cultivate that relationship with God and God revealed to me like you just need to surrender.
Yeah.
Surrender control and trust me. And I mean, it's still a journey, it's still a process, but just sharing the different versions of myself, like, what I realize is like, I felt, surrender can seem hard. Letting go of control can feel hard, but actually resisting letting go, resisting the surrender is even harder.
Yes. Way harder.
Way harder because what I learned is that I was reading a book. It's called the Christ Mind Trilogy. And I think there's 3 different volumes. I think in the last one, it talks about like the 4 keys to peace, where you have an intention, a desire, and then the third step. So, we set an intention for what we want, and is it linked with our ego desire? And this is probably a whole nother discussion, but is it linked with our ego desire or soul desire, which I had to differentiate, and if it's coming from our soul, like the next step is acceptance or allowance, which I changed to acceptance because I was working with a couple clients and they're like allowance, but we were talking acceptance and that resonated better.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that because when we can move to a place of acceptance, so this was like a reminder. So I would love to yeah, we would be talking about just like surrender. In order to surrender, move to a place of acceptance. Because when we can get to a place of acceptance and recognize, going back to what I said, what's in our control, what's out of our control, and what's out of our control, releasing to God, the surrender comes naturally. We don't
Yep.
have to force it.
Hmm.
And I've been in that place of surrender, and it's such a beautiful place. And when I find myself, yeah, going back into wanting to control, which is rooted in fear, um, it's just reminding myself, okay, how can I move back into that surrender? So it's getting to, whatever's happening, can I accept what I can control, what I can't? And I think that's the biggest thing that I would just love to share with the previous versions of myself,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, yeah, at our core, at our essence is love.
Yeah.
We are pure love. And, you know, when we move into that place of surrender, we're reconnected back to that love. And when we're connected back to that love, it pours out of us. So, and it impacts every area of our life, our relationships, our health,
100%.
our business. So that's what we would probably be talking about.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So my last question is there anything that I should have asked you that I didn't ask you?
Ooh, that's a great question. Hmm. No, I think we've covered so much. We
We
covered
did
so
cover a
much
lot.
and we went deep.
It was
I mean,
great. Yeah, I
that's
love this.
I love diving. And I realize, actually I will say maybe this is one thing, what I realized like for me on this journey, the reason why I experienced the migraines was because I was feeling anxious and overwhelmed because I didn't feel safe to be who I was. And so when we can recognize, I suppressed who I was, I suppressed my gifts, I dimmed my light because I was afraid to be me because of what my parents said or what, my friends said or what
Anybody.
society says we should be. I was so scared to be that person because again, I just wanted to be loved. I just wanted to be accepted. I just wanted to feel like I was good enough to feel like I was worthy. And so when I learned, because I love human design, when I learned about my human design, it was like I knew that those were my gifts. I knew that's who I was and how I was meant to show up in this world, but I conditioned myself to show up in a completely different way because I thought that's how I was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And once I started shedding the layers, shedding the beliefs, shedding the patterns and conditioning, and started realigning back to and giving myself permission to be who I am, who God created me to be, I'm reconnected back to that peace, back to that love.
Mhm.
And people feel that. Like my husband feels that. Like when I'm like in alignment with who I am, he feels that. But when
Absolutely.
I'm not, he's like, okay, like something's going on here. Like he will point out, and I'm so grateful. He will point out.
My friends do the same with me.
And we need to have those people in our life
Mhm.
to point out when we're not living in alignment with who we are, who can sense that, who can feel that, so we can like course correct and get back to that place. So
Absolutely.
if anything, if you're feeling, imbalance, or if you're experiencing imbalances in your body or feeling, overwhelmed, stressed out, fear, doubt, worry, whatever it is, that's your clue to tune in, to check in, because it's like, well, am I dimming my light? Am I suppressing who I am? Because when we are, we're gonna feel it. We're gonna feel it mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. And so then the next step is like, okay, how can I get back to being in alignment with who I am? And when I do that, it's like
Yeah. I
everything fades, everything shifts, everything falls back into place, and you feel your best again.
Yeah, and I think that I want to say that a lot of times, especially as women, we are told we're too much.
Yeah.
Our aligned self is too much. And
Yes.
I just want to have like a resounding message. I know you're going to take so much from this podcast as you're listening, but please take away that there is no such thing as too much. You are not too much of anything for the right people, the aligned
Right.
people in your life. So
Yes.
trust that the aligned people will come and the unaligned people, places, and situations will fall away if you lean into your own authentic alignment.
Exactly. Which is
So
what everything your brand is about. And I love that so
it
much
is.
because that's
It
really
is.
what it is getting when we are in alignment with who we are our authentic selves, and people are going to feel that. And
Mhm.
you're so right. Yeah, the right people will come. And the people that used to be my friends aren't my friends anymore. And I'm okay with that because
Yep.
I have other people that have come in place of that, who feel my cup, who see me for who I am. And when I get into my energy funk, remind me of who I am. And that's the people we want in our life to bring us up, not bring us down to their
Yep.
level. So yeah, I love that you said that because it's so true.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Kate.
Yeah, you're
This
so
was
welcome, Callie.
wonderful. This was wonderful. I love talking to you. I love working with you. I'm very happy we met at Next Level U Live. It was an amazing experience.
Same, it really was. And it's just like, again, going back to that, when I go to those events, it's like, it's funny because I met your friend Lauren in the elevator
Yeah.
and she's like, "Oh, my friend from Florida is coming." And I was like, "Oh, another Floridian." I'm like, I have
Yeah.
to meet her. And, nothing's by accident. That's another thing.
No.
It's like the more we can realize like nothing's by accident and be open to possibilities and things that are happening in our life. Because again, it's like I used to be going to these events just like trying to control like the outcome. It's like, no, now I go in, I'm like,
Get an
God,
outcome.
yeah, I'm like, God, please connect me with the people I need to connect with,
Mhm.
and who do I need to pour into, what are the takeaways that I need to get? And I'm just open to it all. I'm just in awe and amazed, like how everything like works out, right? And
Yeah.
so yeah, and that's it. It's just like, meeting specific people at that event, including yourself. I knew like I was meant to be there, and it's just been an honor and a blessing just to get to know you, Callie, to guide you on your journey, and to be able to share my story. And yeah, I hope there's just so many things that the listeners were able to take away from our conversation.
Me too. And I'm 100% sure, if not 1,000,000% sure, that there are many takeaways from this.
Yes, absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
make sure you have your pen and pencil. I should have said at the beginning, or pen and paper, I meant to say, but cool. So again, thank you so much for joining me. I loved having you. And thank you guys for joining me for another episode of the Alignment Blueprint. We will check you out next time.
Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Alignment Blueprint. I hope you enjoyed and got at least one takeaway. Liking what you hear? Subscribe to this podcast on whatever platform you listen from. And don't forget to join me over on Instagram at CallieTony_. That's at CALLITONY_. Talk soon.